Welcome to So That Reminds Me, Reminder Publishing's bi-weekly podcast discussing Western Mass news. I'm Chris Maza.
And I'm Tyler Garnet.
And we'll be your hosts for today's episode.
In this episode, we will talk about 5 of the hot topics in Western Massachusetts. We will follow up on the East Longmeadow warehouse saga, a church fundraiser dinner to help kids in Congo, a local hero reopens his business in Springfield, We The People Easthampton team returns to nationals for the 7th straight year, and allegations of racist bullying in Southwick Public Schools.
The first item to discuss is the wild East Longmeadow warehouse saga. Dennis and Peyton discussed this subject in episode 1, but staff writer Sarah Hannanen provided an update after the February 20th public hearing that took place before the East Longmeadow Planning Board. The project had been debated over several months in 2022 and 2023, with the development opposed by people living at the Fields of Chestnut condominiums, which abuts the Chestnut Street property. After hearing the case for and against the warehouse proposed for 330 Chestnut Street for a second time, the East Longmeadow Planning Board denied the site plan again. The project had been approved on May 2nd, 2023, reconsidered 2 weeks later, and denied in June 2023. East Longmeadow Redevelopers LLC brought the case to land court, and the judge, the developers, and the Fields at Chestnut Condominium Trust agreed to return the issue to the planning board because the agenda for the meeting on May 16, 2023 was deficient and didn't adequately inform the public of the decision that would take place. The board reopened the public hearing on January 16th, striking everything after May 2nd, 2023 from the record. Now, obviously, this is, as we said, a wild story. But on top of everything else, it's really interesting that they tried to unring the bell, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this was a story that was even before my time here at the Reminder. So obviously, as I've started here, it's a story I've been hearing about. And to kind of hear that they, are striking everything from the record after May 2nd, I know it might not be on the record, but in my mind, I feel like it's just still in, with the planning board, it's still in the back of their mind, no matter what they say and what's not in the record anymore. So my question really is, how much was wiped from the record in this conversation?
Well, yeah, officially wiped from the record. But I really feel like overall, this was a Hail Mary kind of situation for the developer. Obviously, you're trying to pursue any avenue possible to get the project that you have sunk a lot of resources, time, money into. But it always kind of felt that this was still going to be the end result. Sarah said that at the February 20th meeting, residents spoke about their concerns that included noise and air pollution and deteriorating road conditions. There were concerns about property values and the number of customers at local businesses that would decrease because of the warehouse and the traffic. People speculated that the warehouse was designed to be an Amazon distribution center, even though there were repeated explanations from developers and the site architect that no tenants had been selected for the warehouse, which could house up to 4 companies. 4 people in a crowd of about 150 indicated they were in favor of the project, and they would be able to work around the potential traffic situation. For the planning board's part, board member Peter Punderson said that the board is charged with reducing traffic congestion, but instead the warehouse would, quote, make one hell of a mess, unquote. Other members of the board said that the project was not in keeping with the board's responsibility to protect and enhance the economic and environmental life of the town. The vote to deny the site plan was 3-0. You can find more articles and a more in-depth look at the whole timeline at thereminder.com.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at different articles throughout the whole kind of saga, if you will, of the warehouse. And I definitely know it's always just the planning board's responsibility just to approve or deny the site plan. So no matter what goes there, it all depends if they meet the requirements of the site plan. So I know reading through the timeline and everything, and like you said, this was kind of a Hail Mary attempt, and to see that it was denied again, it's interesting to see if it really even comes back up, in the future.
Well, it's an interesting property. I'm not sure if you're familiar with exactly where it is. It's actually not far from our Reminder Publishing East Longmeadow offices. But really, it's interesting in that there aren't a lot of areas where residential directly abuts industrial.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand the concerns that residents in that residential area have,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it's pretty clear what the zoning delineations are. So unless somebody is going to come in, and maybe this is the hope that somebody is going to come in and rezone
Mm-hmm.
that property
Yeah.
and redevelop it in another way, eventually you're either going to have some kind of industry in there, or you're probably going to have what you have now, which is a vacant building.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing that I find interesting is when they're talking about traffic, one of the major things that comes up is the East Longmeadow Rail Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when the East Longmeadow Rail Trail, the Redstone Rail Trail, was first developed. They developed this trail knowing full well that it abuts industrial property.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're then using that as a reason not to allow industrial development. So it's a real interesting kind of paradox when I'm looking at this situation.
Yeah, no, of course. And I've listened to other planning boards talk before, and they say, residents have concerns when there's so many vacant buildings in their town that they, want some more economic development. And when things come along that can really help improve economic development in that area, they always have their common concerns about traffic, air pollution, things like that, and noise. The planning board's always put in a tough situation. So the saga at the moment has a conclusion, but we'll see where it goes in the future. And moving along to our second headline, on March 2nd, St. Paul's Church in Palmer will be hosting a fundraiser dinner for Kids in the Congo, a nonprofit that aids Congolese children with projects like classroom construction and well digging. Reverend Stephen Souza of St. Paul's Church emphasized that the event supports a crucial nonprofit aiding a child in a disadvantaged region, highlighting the global impact of local actions. The event seeks support from across Hampden, Hampshire, and Worcester counties. According to the organization's website, Kids in the Congo, a Massachusetts-based nonprofit, has supported the Congolese children's education since 2008. The church's decision to host the event aligns with its mission to extend its humanitarian reach beyond local confines to global needs.
This event will offer a meal and an informational presentation by the humanitarian group's president, hoping to provide insights into the group's efforts. Kids in the Congo helps over 500 students, provides scholarships, school supplies, and infrastructure improvements, and has recently expanded to include clean water and healthcare initiatives. The projects include funding for educational facilities in Butembo and efforts to construct water wells in remote villages. The group's fundraising activities are concentrated in central Massachusetts, aiming to foster better educational opportunities in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Tickets for the Kids in the Congo dinner must be purchased by calling 413-283-8185 or visiting the events page at St. Paul's website, which is www.stpaulspalmer.org.
Yeah, I think this was definitely a good topic to include because, it's a switch up from just the normal meetings and other, political avenue stories we usually take, things like that. And this is just a church in Palmer really helping, kids in the Congo, the nonprofit organization. I feel like every child should have the access to education, clean water, and other things like that. So to help kids who struggle to have those facilities and being able to help, I feel like it's definitely a good thing to talk about.
Yeah, I think that anytime you have a local organization that's taking a more universal look at welfare for people and for children, it's something that is obviously beneficial worldwide. I think that a lot of times we get hung up on what's happening in our own backyards in our local communities too. So seeing an organization like the church taking on a more active role in a larger scale project like this is something that I certainly found interesting, and certainly doing some research into Kids in the Congo. a lot of the work that they've done has made quite an impact. I mean, you think, I mean, I'm sitting here with a water bottle with clean water that shouldn't be a luxury for some people, but it is. So obviously this is something that provides local people the opportunity to have international impact. And that's something pretty special.
Of course. And with that, we'll be back after a few short messages.
We get it. You're busy, but you want to be connected to your local community. If you're not reading The Reminder, Western Mass's free weekly newspaper, you're missing out on the heartbeat of your town. Stay in the loop with all the latest buzz, from local stories to community updates and exciting events. It's all in The Reminder. Just log on to thereminder.com and dive into the hometown news you love. To subscribe to receive The Reminder at your home, call 413-788-1316. Don't miss a beat. Your town, your stories, your community for over 60 years. The Reminder, we are hometown news. Small businesses are the heartbeat of our communities. At the first annual Go Local Marketplace, over 20 local makers will bring what they do best to Powder Hollow Brewery for all to enjoy. From food trucks to live music and a craft workshop, Go Local Marketplace will be your place to shop small with friends and family. Enjoy handcrafted microbrews from Powder Hollow or a glass of wine from RD Winery, also located on site. Go Local Marketplace is happening Saturday, May 11, from noon to 4 p.m. at Powder Hollow Brewery in Enfield, Connecticut. Parking and admission to the event are free. Bring your friends and family to Go Local Marketplace and enjoy the best of what our small business community has to offer.
And we're back. For our third headline, we're going to talk about a local hero who risked his life to support Springfield police officers in 2022, and how he's received support from Mayor Dominic Sarno in Springfield and the Springfield Police Department as he reopened his business after it was closed for a year and a half. At the grand reopening of Cafe de Jolie Restaurant and Cafe on February 20th, Sarno described owner Pedro Perez as the definition of a hero. Now, back in 2022, 2 officers were arresting a suspect who was later convicted of robbing a Metro PCS store on Armory Street at knife point. When Perez, who was driving by, saw police struggling to subdue the man, he said he jumped out of his vehicle on instinct and dove in to help the officers. The suspect dropped the knife that he was wielding, but in the scuffle, he was able to unholster an officer's service pistol and fired 2 shots. While no one was injured, it was a close call for all 3 people handling the suspect, and a bullet went through Perez's sweatshirt, according to Police Superintendent Cheryl Clapprood. Perez was recognized for his bravery with the National Carnegie Hero Fund Award in 2023. Now, Clapprood told Reminder Publishing that one of the officers Perez aided that day was present at the event, but the other never returned to the job due to post-traumatic stress disorder related to the incident. Perez opened Cafe de Jolie, which is on 1365 Main Street, in 2021, but was forced to close due to construction on a nearby parking lot between 2022 and 2023. Now reopened, the cafe offers breakfast, lunch, and what Perez called Dominican street food and late-night eats. Sarno delivered a proclamation from the city naming February 20th Cafe de Jolie Day.
I mean, talk about a close call and just a good Samaritan, seeing something on the side of the road just going down and seeing 2 cops kind of having the situation under control in a sense, but seeing it kind of about to go south, just normal civilian with no resources of his own being able to hop out of the car and react like that. And it's good to see the mayor honor him with Cafe de Jolie Day.
Yeah, and I think obviously Mr. Perez deserves all kinds of accolades for his heroism in this case. He's not a trained officer. He's not, armed in any way, it seems, or equipped to deal with this situation. But on instinct, he saw what was happening. And truthfully, it seems he saw two people, more than seeing two officers. He saw two people in need and responded.
Yeah.
So in addition to highlighting, his heroism, I think that this story also kind of highlights the kind of perils that police officers face on a daily basis. We're hearing a lot these days, and rightfully so in a lot of cases, about concerns about police activity and things like that. But this really kind of highlights some of those situations where there isn't necessarily, a clean environment, a controlled environment, and things can go wrong. We've seen other recent incidents. There was the officer in Wilbraham who was shot responding to a home.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that are real concerns and real challenges for police officers and their families. So I'd imagine that in addition to the officers, their families, I'm sure, are very very appreciative for the efforts that Mr. Perez put forth that day.
No, of course, that's a great point because no matter what the call is, whether it's there's a weapon present or it's just a regular domestic disturbance call or anything like that, you never know what's going to be on the other side of that door. So I'm sure everyone involved is definitely appreciative of Mr. Perez, and he is honored, rightfully so. And that moves us to our fourth headline. Staff writer Trent Levikis wrote that once again, the Easthampton High School We The People team has won the state championship. We The People is a curriculum and program offered by the Massachusetts Center for Civic Education, a private, nonprofit, nonpartisan organization promoting civic education in public and private schools and communities. Open to juniors and seniors, the course focuses on learning about the American Constitution and governance from its psychological origins to modern application. The course is divided into 6 units where students learn about the different aspects of the Constitution and government study throughout the semester. At the end of each unit, classes go through an authentic type of assessment where they participate in a mock congressional hearing. Easthampton High School matches up against other schools in the state, and they've grown to become a powerhouse, as Trent said, as his latest win marks 7 straight state championships, totaling 8 in 11 years.
Now, as the team is preparing to return to Washington, D.C. for the national championship from April 13th to 15th to face 55 other teams from around the country, they are looking for support as they raise money to cover their travel expenses. They have a fundraising goal of $53,000 to cover 25 students and 3 adults and have begun collecting donations. As of the time of Trent's story, they had collected just under $10,000 toward their goal. Each student on the team will also be involved in a 24 for 24 campaign. The campaign's goal is for students to find 24 people to donate $24 each to help raise funds.
Yeah, I mean, Easthampton We The People team has really created a dynasty here, honestly, because obviously it's for juniors and seniors. So obviously each year kids are graduating, kids are moving on to college, but throughout they're continuing great success. And I know this is something that I would have definitely been interested in if I had this in high school. I enjoy learning about American history and stuff, and to see so many kids interested in it, and not only interested in it, but excel and continue to win state championships and go to nationals, I applaud them, and I wish them the best of luck.
Yeah, certainly a Patriots-esque dominance here. But honestly, as you mentioned, this is something that as students move on and matriculate out of high school to college and everything, this has continued to be a strong program, and certainly that's a tip of you got to tip your cap to the educators and the administrators who have supported this program, and certainly the community who has supported these fundraising efforts in the past. I mean, this is a great opportunity for these kids, and the way that the community in the past has been able to get behind them to allow them to go to this national competition, it really shows how dedicated the community is to these extracurricular educational ventures.
Yeah, of course. And I hope they're able to reach their fundraising goal. And I'm excited to hear how things go after April in the national event.
Of course. Yes, absolutely. Good luck to them.
And with that, we'll be right back after a few more short messages.
Are you planning your second act? Working on your bucket list? Investing for early retirement? If you've hit that point in life where time will soon be yours, let Prime Magazine be your guide. We're all about staying healthy and fit, keeping up with tech, traveling, local entertainment, managing finances, caring for your kids and elders, and much more. Pick up the latest copy of Prime Magazine every month. Prime, your best life now.
Bring It Home magazine takes the best in the home renovation or home building business to your door. Featuring countless local businesses, Bring It Home helps Western Massachusetts and Connecticut homeowners, both new and seasoned, find the best of the best to suit their home's needs. The magazine is host to articles on local businesses explaining the latest trends from outdoor necessities to indoor design. For advertising information or to view Bring It Home online, go to thereminder.com.
And we are back with our fifth and final headline, which includes an unfortunate situation taking place at Southwick Public Schools. Staff writer Cliff Clark wrote about a current investigation in Southwick Public Schools after it was reported that students called a black classmate the N-word and conducted a mock slave auction on social media. Southwick Police and the Hampden County District Attorney are investigating the charge that some Southwick Regional School students ran the mock slave auction on Snapchat. Police are treating the allegations as a hate-based incident and will file charges against those responsible if criminality occurred, according to Chief Robert Landis. He said that it is believed the students involved in the mock slave auction were all under 18 years old. That means if charges are filed, they would be adjudicated in juvenile court where their identities would not be public information. Now, obviously, this is quite the jarring story. And while I don't want to descend into a conversation about social media and its pros and cons, certainly this is something that illustrates one of the pitfalls of social media and how it can lend itself to these kinds of hatefully charged and bullying kind of situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just kind of obviously talking about the social media aspect quickly, it says that, they ran a mock slave auction on Snapchat. For everyone who doesn't know how kind of Snapchat works, you send a picture to someone else, it can last 3, 5, 10 seconds, so an infinite amount of seconds, and you think it's gone, or you can have a story with a few other classmates, it's only private to them, or a public story. So to see that people, probably did this on Snapchat, thinking it would eventually go away and they would get into no trouble, whether it's someone screenshotted it, screen recorded it, took a picture on another phone, it somehow got out there, which is good that it got out there, whether if another student reported it or it somehow got to the administration hands and now is being investigated further.
Yeah, and one thing that I think we need to stress is that these are allegations. There hasn't been any conviction or anything like that. So these are accusations that have not yet been adjudicated. So we need to keep that in mind. But certainly, while it's painful that these came to light, I think you're absolutely right that that these allegations finding their way to the proper channels and the proper authorities, hopefully on top of everything else, be an educational opportunity for other students in the school, for the accused, for administration, and for parents as well. This is a brave new world that a lot of people are learning about firsthand, and a lot of us are playing catch up. I'm saying us being older than 40 and not having a Snapchat and trying to understand how all of this kind of stuff works.
Of course.
With that said, Hampden County District Attorney Anthony Gallooni, according to a statement from his spokesperson James Layden, said that the district attorney's office was made aware of the incident on February 15th. The community is complaining that the school administrators have been too slow to root out racism at Southwick Regional School, and the alleged victim's mother, the local NAACP leader, and an online petitioner all said that over February vacation. After public statements by Southwick Regional School parent Allison Lopez and Bishop Talbert Swan II, president of the Greater Springfield NAACP, the Southwick Tolland Granville Regional School District confirmed that it had started an investigation on February 9th and completed it on February 12th, and that there was highly inappropriate and racist conversation on Snapchat that involved students at our school, according to school committee chair Robert Stevenson. In a televised interview aired February 20th, Lopez said she had spoken to school officials about the two incidents, and an administrator had proposed an assembly to talk to students about race and the inappropriateness of making racist comments. Lopez said during the interview that the assembly never happened and that the administrators didn't contact her again until after she raised the issue publicly through the NAACP. School administrators later announced that they would hold an assembly on February 26th, the day students returned from their February break. The district's response wasn't enough for Allison Sharman, who started an online petition calling for the resignations of the superintendent and the school's principal.
Yeah, this situation has so many layers. It's unfortunate to hear that, these allegations are going on in any school to begin with, in the real world and things like that. Schools are supposed to be a safe space for everyone, and to just hear things like this going on. And I know this is, all this took place right before February break, so this was definitely the last thing, not trying to make an excuse for anyone, but this is definitely the last thing on the administrators' minds. So I know they definitely were trying to work with the district attorney office and as well as the Hampden County District Police to make sure that everything was thoroughly investigated before making, accusations about anything that took place.
Yeah, and I think that this also kind of lends itself to what I was saying earlier about education. I think that this is hopefully an opportunity for the administration and for the school committee and for parents to be able to take a step back and look at this situation and figure out how they can best or better work with each other when these kinds of situations arise. I think that obviously there can be some criticism if it is warranted. I'm not saying that there is no fault here. I'm not saying that there is fault. But what I'm saying is in every situation there can certainly be critiques. And hopefully from this there comes constructive conversation about how the district and administration and the school community can better respond to these kinds of incidents. And hopefully these kinds of incidents are not regular. So, I think that is something that hopefully everybody can learn from, and we have fewer of these, but being able to have the conversation so that you understand how you should properly address it moving forward, it's a conversation that should happen.
Of course, and Allison Sharman was the one who started the online petition. She also asked for students who have experienced bullying or discrimination to share their experiences in the comments section of the petition, and several have done so already. After the petition was posted, the superintendent's office said it would not have any comments or statements on these topics at that time. But since then, Lopez and the superintendent have met to talk about a plan moving forward to ensure the safety and well-being of the alleged victim at school. The district also plans to offer counseling, support services, and identify areas for improvement to address bullying, bias, discrimination, and racism.
Yeah, you really hope that, everyone can take a more proactive approach to this and not be so reactive. And this is not limited to Southwick, this is for everybody, that if we have more real conversations about these kinds of issues and acknowledge that these challenges are real and people experience these on a regular basis, hopefully we can gain a better understanding overall on how we can not only mitigate these circumstances when they happen, but reduce them as well.
No, of course. I hope this unfortunate situation ends with a good and positive outcome for the students and everyone else involved.
And with that, we wrap up this episode of So That Reminds Me. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening to So That Reminds Me, produced by Western Massachusetts news source Reminder Publishing. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, find the latest news at thereminder.com, and follow Reminder Publishing on Instagram at Reminder Publishing, on X at The Reminder MA, and on Facebook. Reminder Publishing, we are hometown news.